Hey yo, what's up? Welcome back. We have another standard deck for Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and this time we're going to explore again the user submitted the deck list from MTG Goldfish website, and one of which I found is the Abzan Descent. This one was anonymously submitted. Maybe it's really the name, the anonymous, but anyhow, we're going to check on the usage of this new mechanic from LCI and how it would be that of a core strategy in this kind of deck. So with that list of the Abzan, we know that's green, white, and black. We check on the list below, with starting off with 2 artifacts, 11 creatures, 30 enchantments, 2 instants, 24 lands basically, and 5 planeswalkers, and of course the 3 sorcery, which goes with the Fathomless Descent kind of mechanic. So we're going to check on first the choices here. So we have 2 artifacts. Let's call this one is the Unstable Glyph Bridge. So this is a 5 to cast artifact that's only a rare that means that enters the battlefield. If you catch it, for each player choose a creature with power 2 or less, and that destroy all creatures except the creatures chosen this way. So that way this would be an ATB artifact mass removal, and can also be crafted. By crafting with this artifact, just pay 5 or and exile an artifact you control or an artifact card in your graveyard, and it becomes this one, the Sun's Will Wonder Glyph. This is an artifact creature golem, a 5/3 flyer, with which whenever an opponent casts a spell during the turn, they can attack you or planeswalkers you control this turn. So it's quite interesting way to hold off some shenanigans from your opponent. And also this ability that each opponent will attack you or planeswalker you control this turn can't cast spells. So in either way, it is one way to get a check on your opponents for any of their follow-up spells, or any that they would be able to attack or not, or just they would just cast spells and not attack, depending on their choice. But in a way, this would become a sort of a limiter from their ability to extend their board, at the same time gets you to expand yours without any hindrance. Now for the creatures, since this is mostly goes with the black green, so we have 3 copies of Monster Dread Knight. So this one would become a ideal component for a 2-drop for this deck, because it's ability that can be cast from graveyard as an adventure until the end of your turn as it dies, and at any time, I mean, you can just cast it for its sorcery, or for adventure that's Dead Whispers. You will draw a card and you lose 1 life if you are not really going to go expand early on. But if you'd want to just have a 2-drop for a 3/2, then this would be one of your best choice. Another way, we have also another 2-drop option here. That's 2 copies. That's Shigeki Jukai Visionary. So this card is just only becoming a 2 to cast 1/3, but it is ability that can also get you to trigger Descent. By paying 1 and green, tap, return Shigeki Jukai Visionary to its owner's hand, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, and then you may put a land from among them into the battlefield, tap, and put the rest to your graveyard. So that way, it's also one way to trigger, at the same time gets you to get a land card from the top 4 cards of your library. And early on, or maybe later, you can have this channel ability, wherein you can pay double X and 2 green, discard Shigeki, and return extra, get non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. So in a way, that's also gets you to ramp early on, but also gets you to go on a good recurring effect in the late game value at this time. And so we have also the 3-drop Myco Tyrant. This is the new card mythic from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It is a 3 to cast for star. That's depending on the number of creatures you control that are fungi and sapruling. So this is also a trample per se. At any default scenario, it will just become a 3 to cast for 1/1, and at the beginning of the end step, you will create an X/1/1 black fungus creature tokens, where these creature tokens cannot block, and X is the number of times you have descended this turn. So if any instance wherein you need to descend, you can be able to create this many times of the 1/1 black fungus creature tokens. So hence this deck would go to adjust this kind of build for that kind of setup, wherein you have multiple ways to descend, so that we'll be able to get a value of spreading more sort of a fungi or fungal creature tokens created, more and more copies for each of your descent setup. So this way, this would also become effective as more of these creature tokens are created. And that we have a copy of Titania Voice of Gaia. This is another 3-drop in this deck, but it has its ability wherein whenever one or more lands are put in your graveyard from anywhere, you will gain 2 life. And then you have this good trigger, drop keep. If there are 4 or more land cards in your graveyard and you both own Titania and unland name Argoth, you can have this one meld. So this would be melded into Titania Gaia's Incarnate. So that only goes with another good combo. But if you can check on this build, we only have, I think, only one Argoth in this main deck. So at any chances that you can be able to pull this one, then maybe a good more advantage for you. But anyhow, you can just have this one as a 3/4 reach that can gain you 2 life for each of your land cards put in your graveyard from anywhere. So for that, we have next the 4 drops in this deck, wherein we have 2 copies of Blossoming Tortoise. This would be another good descent trigger, which has whenever it's enters the battlefield or attack, mill 3 cards, then return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield top. And then activated abilities of that of your lands you control cost 1 less to activate, and land creatures you control gets +1. So that is also a good take to have this one as a good 4-drop. And then for our enchantments, so that goes with only 4. We have 2 copies, 3 copies, I mean, for Teachings of the Cairn. That is for the 2-drop. It can also get you to descend by milling 3 cards on its first lore counter, whereas it can also create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. And then you can also put a counter on that creature control, and then have this one flip into Healing Touch Orokai, wherein you can also do these triggers whenever it attacks. You can exile a card from graveyard. That's if it's a creature, you can create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. If a non-creature, then you can put a counter on that creature control. So this also becomes sort of a creature drop in this deck. We're having this one on turn 2 and trigger the lore counters up to its flip ability. The next up, we have 4 copies of Wedding Announcements, and this is also a good token producer per se, and also a permanent card. So that also satisfies the trigger of your other descent, the Fathomless Descent ability, and can also turn into a card draw and anthem effect in the late game by the Wedding Festivity. Then we also have 3 copies of Virtual Loyalty. This is another creature source per se, but can also become an enchantment, so this is also considered as a permanent. If it's hard card test of 4/5, it can become this one as having to trigger putting a +1 counter at end step for each creature control, but early on can just be casted for its adventure ability by creating a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Also the same concept with Virtual Persistence, that is for black. Instead that you can have this one as a spot removal for Locthwain Scorn as an adventure spell, and also at the hard cast of this virtue, you can have this trigger of Dimir upkeep. You can put target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield under your control. And for the instant and sorceries, you can check here that we have 2 copies of Pile On as a convoke spot removal, because we have a lot of token producers in deck. You can just basically tap your extra tokens to cast this Pile On at a cheaper cost. And our only sorcery in the deck, which is Fathomless Emergence. This is the ability that it would return to the battlefield target a non-permanent card in your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to the number of permanent cards. So we make sure that we have more of these permanents, such as lands, creatures, enchantments, so that our value for Fathomless Descent would be really relevant, and we can return a good old target of a non-permanent, but mean that we can target a planeswalker, an artifact, or a creature or enchantment per se to put into the battlefield. That is basically sort of a cheating for a 3 value out of the enchantment or artifact without paying its high mana cost. Now for the planeswalkers, it's more of a utility per se. We have 2 copies of Reliant of the Veil that goes with having the discard effects, which can also get you to trigger Descent, where you can trigger to discard your extra lands, for example. It can also be used to sacrifice your opponent's creature, and the -6 loyalty ability that can clear off half of their permanents from target player, choosing on 2 piles at random. So it can also have Ren and Realm Breaker. We can have also 3-drop Planeswalker here that can create your land into a 3/3 elemental creature with vigilance, hexproof, and haste. And then you can also trigger melee the descent ability with its -2, when you can mill 3 cards and then put a permanent card, and also get you to emblem you to play lands and cast permanent spells from your graveyard. At any given scenario that you can have to activate this one, that's basically game over for your opponent. And last but not the least, for your Planeswalker is Elspeth Splendid. You can also become a producer for having the -3 ability, looking top 70 cards and then putting a permanent card with mana value 2 or less, and also putting a counter on a relevant creature with a counter also to choices of flying, first strike, lifelink, and vigilance. So for the lands are pretty much the same of as main component of the typical 3-color deck, wherein we can have several mana fix with brushland that we have played, for example, Lateral Waste, Overgrown Farmland, and also that of Third Sanctum. Another mana fix here are your manlands. We have 3 copies of Restless Cottage and 2 copies of Restless Prairie for your white and green mana color. And of course, our Ghost Sanctumator, which can at any time can become also a trigger for that of your Titania. And it is also partnered by a few of these basic lands for a total of 24 land in the main deck. So last but not the least are your average mana curve. It's at 3.56. That's quite in a mid-range-ish ability, but nevertheless we have also several 2 mana cost, for example, that can interact with your opponent and also make sure that you can still survive the early assault, which can also have this option to be added in your sideboard game plan. In your color distribution, we have 24 for black, green is 24 also, and white is 19, and your producers are 17 for black, green is 20, and white is 14. So last but not the least are your tokens, of course, since this is most likely to be a token deck, so we have several tokens here that we can use to represent these effects as added by your cards. So I guess that's pretty much it for this. If you're a fan, of course, of your black-green deck, I think the core component here would have some similarity in that of the black-green self-mill rock mid-range deck. So I think this could become a good upgrade for your current build if you go with having white as your third color, and also going access with these powerful cards such as Wedding Announcement and the Virtue of Loyalty, and can also help you do this descent ability of having this 3 mana cost sorcery that can return your good permanent cards into the battlefield as early than they are being casted. So I guess that's pretty much it for this deck. Have an Abzan Descent by Anonymous standard deck tech for Lost Caverns of Ixalan. If you like this video, just let me know, and notifications on. Just click like and subscribe. You can have more of this discussion. As we observed already, I think they have this weekend as the LCI or Lost Caverns of Ixalan will be legal to play in Standard and Pioneer and other formats in the game. We can see some good results published, maybe on MTG Top 8 or even on MTG Goldfish. We can still have some more video recording for that kind of deck tech discussion as we follow through this format. And again, thank you guys for checking on this video, and see you on the next one.